All right, so I'm gonna make biscuits this morning, and I'm making two different types. Both of them are probably the best biscuits I think ever. Everyone seems to think so. Um, the ingredients are almost identical. The only added ingredient to the secondary biscuit is an extra cup of milk. Now, the reason for that is the one type that I'm making is going to be for basically rolled up biscuits. Use the exact same ingredients in both, but to this one you add milk. You add a full cup of milk, and it makes it looser, and you can spoon it out with a spoon instead of having to roll it out. Because a lot of people, when they think of biscuits, they kind of dread, kind of rolling it out. So this is another one that's even easier. It makes them a little fluffier. You can't really separate them and put something inside it like you can the other biscuit, but they're just as good. So first thing you want to do is turn the oven on, and you want to turn it on to 350. All right, so that gets, make sure there's nothing in it. I've done that before. So the recipe is extremely simple. One of the main ingredients is heavy whipping cream. Oh, I was going to say, please tell me that's not empty. All right, so you can buy the heavy whipping cream like this, or you can buy the smaller container. Now, for this, I bought this one because equal amounts go in each one, okay? But if you buy the pint, it's already pre-measured. You don't have to do anything. You just pour the whole pint in to the one, okay? So basically, I'm gonna pour half of this in there. Let me make sure it's the right amount. It's 32, so yeah, 16. So 16 ounces, which is basically a pound. Where's my? So that's a 2/3 cup. Is that a cup? Yeah, half a cup. Ah, crap. So, to make it easier, you add your liquid in last, okay? But I'm gonna measure this out real quick in another container. Probably this. All right. So to make this even, right? That's 2 cups. All right. So that just makes it really easy. All right. Now we got those separated. Now the next thing you want to do is I use a sifter. You don't necessarily have to, but I do. Now, if you wanted to cheat, which I don't like to, you can use self-rising flour at this point. It's the same amount, but the only ingredient you wouldn't add would be the baking powder and the baking soda, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3. All right, so 3 cups of flour in this one. Right. And 3 cups of flour in that one. And yes, my hands are very clean. All right, so the flour's done. You can just get it out of your way. Just put it over here. You don't have to follow me. Okay, so next ingredient is baking powder. right? Very simple. Let's see, I got a regular little spoon over here. All right, so I don't really measure this that much, but a heaping tablespoon of baking powder, okay? And it's just one. All right, so that's done. Where's my lid? I got it. All right, and then well, I don't have the baking soda, but it's not a.
It's
the
in,
baking soda
it's
is
in the
basically.
pantry.
Huh?
It's in the pantry.
In here?
The pantry.
I ain't gonna open a new one. You don't necessarily need it. I like to add it for flavor. You don't need it. The baking soda is all you need. Now, the next important ingredient, or step, excuse me, not ingredient, is to mix them at this point, because you don't want one to have a huge clump of baking powder, because that'll taste nasty. So you mix these up. Now, some people go ahead and add the salt at this point. I don't like to, because the salt and the baking powder can actually bind together sometimes, and trust me, you'll get a biscuit that you'll taste nothing but damn baking powder. All right, so that's done. Now, I've never measured the salt. This is how I measure salt. Don't make fun of me. Come over here and look. That's about as much as you need. I'm not sure what that is, okay? But that's how I measure salt. Okay? Now, the salt will make the biscuits a little smoother, all right? It's not necessarily for flavor, because the butter I use is a salted butter. So you don't really need too much salt. But I do like to add it because it gives the texture of the biscuit a kind of a smooth texture. And if you notice, the way that I'm doing it is I'm pulling into the middle and then distributing the middle. That just makes the salt more even, okay? So do the same thing here. Now, I know a lot of you that might be making biscuits might know all these little tricks, but I'm doing this for future generations that might not know any of this. All right, so that's done. Now, some people will add a pinch of sugar, okay? I'm diabetic. I don't normally do this, but the sugar will cut out the bitterness of the baking powder. You don't need it, but it does make it a little more flavorful. You don't have to do anything past that. Now, oh, almost forgot. One of the other ingredients is butter. Now, you want to add the butter at this stage because you want it to be crumbly in the mix. Now, this is where you're going to have to get your hands dirty. So you can either wear gloves at this point. You can try to do it with a fork, but I'm telling you, this is 10 times easier. So if you want to come over here and look, I basically just kind of mash the butter up with the flour, right? And then I just keep mashing until it turns into that. And then basically I just keep doing this until I get a lot of, I don't know what size crumbles you would call it, but I'm sure you'll see in just a second. Now, if you want a really flaky biscuit, you want to make the crumbles kind of large, but not too large that it'll affect the dough. Now, see, that's the consistency that I usually like to make it. Okay. If you overdo this, If you over mix this, your biscuits will turn out like my brother Jimmy's biscuits, which they will be hockey pucks, as he's put it. All right, so basically you just kind of mash them up, right? Okay, you just kind of gently squeeze the flour into the butter. All right. Keep incorporating the flour from the sides, and just squeeze the butter and then kind of roll your hands around and it'll make a flakiness. All right. Okay. See? See the consistency? It almost looks like cornmeal with kind of chunky stuffs in it. All right, so that's done. Now, you want to add in your liquid. You kind of make a hole in the middle. Add your liquid. Okay. Add the liquid to this one. I swear that seems like there was too much in that one. All right. Now, I forgot to get the milk out. Would you mind grabbing the milk for me?
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
Pour me 2 of these, please.
Gotta do it with one hand.
All right. Pour. All right, so you're going to add 1 cup of milk. All right, that's enough. To the one that you're going to be using the spoon with. Okay, that's enough. All right, let me throw this away. All right. Are you back to videoing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is going to be the one that's going to be the spoon method. This is going to be the one that's going to be regular biscuits. You're just going to have to get your hands dirty, okay? There's just no way around it. Now, the easiest method is to kind of make it kind of incorporate by crumbling it, kind of the same way that you did the butter, okay? If you notice it looks like it's really wet, but it'll incorporate. And I just basically squeeze and grab and squeeze and grab until I get dough. If you see, it's starting to come off my hands, right? All right. Now, take it and basically kind of roll it, push down in the pan. That'll incorporate everything. Now, here's the important part. Remember I mentioned earlier that Jimmy said he keeps making these and they turn out like hockey pucks? Well, if you continue to mix too much at this point, they will become Jimmy biscuits. And yes, Jimmy, I know you'll be watching this. All right, so if you can see, I'm not doing too much. I'm just kind of folding it. I'm not trying to mix it all up. I'm just folding and pressing. You basically want to do this until everything that's in the bowl comes out. Okay, now if you notice, you have a nice biscuit dough ball. Okay, so put that aside. Put that on here. Just stay there. I'll be right back. And if you notice, your oven's done. Now, you want to get a little bit of flour, right? Not much, because you don't need much. This is actually pretty dry. Put you some flour down. And you press. And you press. Now, some people use a rolling pin at this point. I never do. Because I like to fill the dough. Because you get the right amount of space. And you can feel the depth. A rolling pin sometimes will make one area too thin. And not to mention that I ain't that good at a damn rolling pin, so I can do this just as good. Now, it's almost there. Okay, done. Now, let me get, I should have had all this out. Oh well. I use a regular old lid as a cutter, okay? And wait, that still needs to be flattened out a little more. Now if you notice, I try to make it as flat as this because that's about the consistency that you want as far as depth. Okay, if you notice, yep, let's check this side. Yep. Okay, all right, so cut your biscuits out. Now a lot of people, they say, can you use the pieces again? Yes, you can, once. You cannot use them more than once. So you want to try to get as much in this as you can on the first go. Sometimes it's not feasible. Most times it is. I've gotten it to where I can almost do this to where I have almost no leftover and I can make a single biscuit out of the leftovers. I'm hoping I can do that this time too. All right. Now, some of you may know this, but when you press down, just give it a little twirl like that, where it separates it, so you have nice clean edges. All right. All right. So here's the leftover pieces. I put them all together. Now what I do at this point, I just press it in and kind of dig my fingers in, kind of glues the stuff back together. Now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make this into 2 biscuits. So I'm going to elongate that. And don't see that pieces like this, don't worry about that because that'll add to a flakiness of a biscuit. Okay, see how it's got all the little pieces like that? Like I said, don't worry about that because the biscuit will be even flakier than those. So I should be able to get 2 out of this. All right, that is done. This is just old leftovers. If you want, you can make a tiny biscuit by hand. I don't like to waste anything, so I like to do this. All right, so that's done. Now you take your pan. I know I have big pans, but you can actually just use a regular old, what do you call it? Cookie pan, right? And I have my 3rd stick of butter, which you'll use about half. All right. And I'm basically going to grease my pan. Ugh, I think there was water still in this damn pan. That don't matter. All right. Take my hand. Now you don't have to do this. I like to do this because one, you don't want too much butter on the bottom because it'll have a tendency to burn, right? So I'm gonna spread that out by hand. If you notice, I'm pressing into it, right? Okay, so that's done. And arrange your biscuits. Okay, so that's done. You set that aside. Now, at this point, those would go in the oven, right? 350 degrees for 18 minutes. Now, after 18 minutes, I usually turn the oven to broil and add an additional 3 minutes, and that gives it its nice crust on top. Now you can, at this point, you can either add more butter, or and you can do like me in a minute. I'm going to add some butter to the top, but I want to get to this one. Now, this one is a simpler one. You don't have to go through all the stuff that you went through with the other one. This one's pretty simple. You're basically just going to stir it up. Remember, this one is the exact same ingredients, but you just had the extra cup of milk. That's the only difference. Okay? You basically can use a fork to mix this up. Now, I actually think I had a little too much creamer in this one, but that's not a problem because you can always add flour, which I'm going to do at this point. Now I'm going to show you the consistency that you want it. This one is very forgiving as far as mistakes, because as you can see, we made this one a little too wet, but basically I just add some flour and I can get it to the consistency that I want, which is right about here. You see how it's starting to pull? All right, that's almost perfect. And I'm gonna fold that in. Okay, so that is perfect. Now you want to use what they call a 2-spoon method, right? I think I'm gonna grab a different sheet pan because I don't want any wet ones for this. Let's see. I'll use Big Mama. All right, so with this one, you want to be a little more liberal with the butter at the bottom. Okay, so all right. So you grab a spoon and you grab another spoon. This is called the 2-spoon method, right? This is all you do. Scoop out a nice heaping glob. You take the other spoon and push it off. A nice heaping glob. Push it off with a spoon. A nice heaping glob. Push it off with a spoon. And you just do this until you have everything panned up. And I'm telling you, these are good biscuits.
Do you have a preferred one?
The preferred one is sitting over there. I do this one when I want to make biscuits pretty quick. Right, I don't want to have to go through all the extra steps, or I don't have enough time, you know, like I'm doing other projects, or I just want to get outside quick enough, but I still want biscuits. So now these are going to rise and spread, so they're kind of going to make almost like square biscuits, but I mean that's still good. I might rearrange these since I have these over here.
Or are you gonna make them share the same pan?
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt anything. Alright. Definitely make 2 out of that. There. Move your ass over. All right, so that's done. Now see, this one here is pretty good, easy cleanup. All right, that's done. Now, next step I like to do is take some butter. Now I use my hands. Sorry if that offends y'all. But I put a dab of butter on each one of them. Not so much to drown it, but enough to kind of, as it melts, it kind of coats it. Now you notice I'm using about a half a stick for one batch. That's what you want to use, about a half a stick for each batch.
You missed a biscuit.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I make sure it gets butter on it.
Alright. And I really hope that when I'm dead and gone, that you girls make my biscuits and think of me every time. Damn it, butter, get on there. Shut up. Oh, and you want to make sure your butter's soft. If you can work with hard butter, more power to you. I cannot. So I made sure to take these out, or I didn't. Heidi took them out yesterday, specifically for biscuits.
Is that why she asked me about the heavy whipping cream?
Yes. All right, so.
Oven time?
Oven time. Now, like I said, 18 minutes is what you want to bake them, right? Now, because I'm doing two different batches, since I'm doing two different batches, what I'm going to do is I'll take one out and do 3 minutes on braise for one, and then I'll put the other one in and do 3 minutes of braise on that one. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video now. After 18 minutes, we'll do a little small video and show you what it looks like, and then after the then we'll probably just we'll do it 3 ways. Just pause it.